Sophie, Countess of Wessex, Sophie Helen Rhys-Jones, was born into a middle-class family. She trained as a secretary at North Kent College in Tonbridge. She started her career in PR and worked at Capital Radio for 4 years in the press and promotion department. After that, as a professional, she worked for the Quentin organization and MacLaurin Communications and Media. In 1996, Rhys-Jones, together with her business partner, founded her own PR agency KOR Public Relations, which worked for 5 years. It is clear that in marriage Sophie tried to build her public image thoughtfully, because PR is her profession. Spoiler, it was not always possible to avoid the negative attention of the press. Royal daughter-in-law for life. Sophie and Edward met long before the beginning of their relationship, in 1987, when the prince was dating Sophie's friend. The future countess was working at Capital Radio at the time, and their relationship with the prince remained amicable. 6 years later they met again at a charity event of Prince Edward and soon began dating. Sophie immediately managed to please the royal family, and even Elizabeth II from the very beginning penetrated to Sophie's sincere sympathy. The future countess was allowed to stay in the royal apartments at Buckingham Palace even before the announcement of the engagement to the prince. On January 6, 1999, the couple announced their engagement, and on June 19 of the same year the wedding took place in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. Edward became the only one of Elizabeth's 4 children who did not divorce his first wife. Over time, Sophie was given the unofficial status of the Queen's favorite daughter-in-law. She even has the privilege of accompanying the Queen in her limousine and representing Her Majesty at all official events organized by foreign monarchs. Countess Sophie has never sought to be the center of attention, and perhaps this is what earned her the love and respect of not only Elizabeth II, but also the general public, her husband Prince Edward and the Duchess of Cambridge Catherine. Besides, being the center of attention is sometimes just dangerous for one's image. Sorry, Sophie. Even knowing how to play to your audience professionally doesn't guarantee you won't get in trouble with the media. Especially if you're a princess and always in the crosshairs of the paparazzi. The Countess of Wessex has almost always managed to maintain an impeccable reputation, but she's had her share of media trouble. In May 1999, a month before the wedding of Sophie and Edward, the Sun newspaper published a photo from 1988, where the future bride of the prince sunbathing topless with his former colleague on Capital Radio Chris Tarrant. The palace immediately said the publication of the photos was a gross invasion of privacy and the journalist's actions had caused great distress to its characters. The next issue came out with the phrase "Sorry, Sophie" on the cover, thus the editors apologized. All the proceeds from the sale of this issue went to a charitable foundation organized by Edward and Sophie. It turned out that the newspaper bought the photos from Sophie and Chris' former friend and colleague. The latter repented of what she had done, but it did not save her from being fired. A tabloid prankster and reputational losses. The most high-profile scandal involving Sophie occurred in 2001. A journalist from the tabloid News of the World approached Sophie's PR company disguised as an Arab sheikh and recorded several private conversations with the Countess and her business partner Murray Harkin. In the conversations, the Countess allowed herself to criticize members of the government, including Prime Minister Tony Blair and his wife, Chancellor Gordon Brown and opposition leader William Hague. The Countess was sensitive towards Prince Charles, calling him a man ahead of his time, and expressed support for his union with Camilla. But noted that it would not be easy for them to win approval and that the prince is often derided as a charlatan. Her partner Murray Harkin said in a private conversation with the sheikh that Sophie's position could be used to approve a number of deals and special business terms. In addition, Harkin admitted to using cocaine and even hinted that rumors of Prince Edward's homosexuality are not unfounded. The transcript of the secretly made recordings took up 10 pages of the Sunday edition of the News of the World, which immediately sold out. Other publications happily ran headlines like "Sophie buries herself deeper," "The Queen has been given a Wessex bomb," and the familiar "Sorry, Sophie," only now in an ironic way. Sophie agreed to give an interview to cover the scandal, but it came out without prior approval from the palace and with a very provocative headline, "My Edward is not gay." The Countess sent letters of apology to everyone she had offended during the unfortunate conversations, and publicly repented for being caught up in the story. The Queen's response to the scandal was to stipulate that her relatives could not go into business using their position. Sophie and Edward immediately agreed with the Queen, giving up their companies. The Countess left her PR agency, and Edward left his private TV company. The palace then sided with the Wessex couple and condemned the unscrupulous actions of the press. A public persona, but not a new Diana. In April 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stopped performing royal duties. There was talk in the press that Sophie would take over most of the Duchess of Sussex's duties and regain the public attention she had been deprived of for some time. The Countess admitted that she could hardly be the new Diana because she is not ready for that level of publicity. Sophie already patronizes more than 70 projects, actively cooperates with numerous charitable foundations, research institutes, fights for women's rights, for the development of agriculture, is president of the British Association of Guides, chief of the Regiment of the Queen Alexandra Military Nursing Service and chief of the Regiment of the Army Music Corps. So her already numerous duties are unlikely to intend to expand. Personal pleasures are also the subject of everyone's attention. Sophie loves sports, horseback riding, tennis and cycling. In 2016, the Countess even took part in the Prince Philip Award Diamond Challenge and cycled 716 kilometers from Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh to Buckingham Palace in London. Despite all entreaties, the Countess of Wessex refused to wear designer clothes to the last, preferring modest, laconic things. Sophie has repeatedly admitted that she does not have a stylist, and images for events she always chooses on her own, favoring suits, triplets with skirts, simple loafers and wide-brimmed hats. It is said that it was her style that Kate Middleton was guided by when she joined the royal family, as Sophie always dresses appropriately for the occasion, without breaking the royal regulations, but retains her individuality. In 2015, Vanity Fair magazine included Her Royal Highness Sophie of Wessex in its list of the best-dressed people in the world, while other representatives of the British monarchy, such as Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, were not included in the rating. According to Sophie, such international recognition was unexpected. When I saw the list, I thought, are they sure they mean me? However, there are no former PR people, and the Countess's answer is clearly a bit of slyness. It's not for nothing that she became a patron of the London College of Fashion.